Hey everyone, I just want to give you all an update on the Coyote swap. I wanted to share a tips and tricks episode. So, doing a Hydroboost swap in the Fox, and I went with a 99 to 04 Mustang Hydroboost. It did require me to bend the firewall a little bit. I didn't really have to, but I just wanted to bend it a little bit for better clearance. The tongue was able to fit. Just wanted to follow the instructions best I could. So the first part is getting off this nasty thing right here. It was actually a pain in the ass. Luckily the Maximum Motorsports came with a socket, which is, see if I can find it, this sucker right here. As you can tell, mine is beat to shit. In order to get it off, what I did was, I can show you, this is the removal stage. So, yeah, mind the mess when you're working on the car, trying to spend more time on that than cleaning the garage. So, originally, this is like this, right? Mounted. The tricky part is that, how do you hold down the Hydroboost, right? Like where, maybe if you had a vise, I don't have a vise and I should buy one, but here's what I did. So for removal of this plate, right, ultimately it's that nut in there. I put it on backwards per the instructions, but to get it off, it is the other way. So what is nice is mine had, oops, sorry, that was my hand. Mine had these two pieces down here. Looks like they're kind of stamped in there, welded in the plate, so yours may be like this as well. But when it's on there, took a air tool, just because, yeah, there was no way I was going to get enough leverage. This thing says to be at least 150 pounds, and it was rusted on, so PP blaster, a little bit of heat, let it sit for a day. And then what I did was, it was like this, and used a breaker bar in this hole right here, right? So that way, when I turned it to the left, if you notice, right, it stops. So if you have a long ass breaker bar, those two studs right there, I was able to break it loose with a impact. Then put it to the left, boom, was able to break it. The tool that Maximum Motorsports came out sent was a little bit fragile. It is steel, but you can imagine, right, 200 pounds. They like weld on this lip, so it definitely did work. But if you can see, I bent it a little bit. You can see here, look right here. See how I had to sand down? See how it's kind of beveling a little bit? Or bowling? What I had to do was, see where I sanded it? When I was taking it off with the impact, it obviously spun a little bit. I had to take it off, make sure it's seated well, did it again, spun a little bit. So if the edges too poke out like that, it will not fit the Maximum Motorsports plate. So what I did was, the pieces that were sticking out, sanded that down a little bit. Then I had a little bit of anti-seize. I put anti-seize on the threads. I did degreaser first, right? Get rid of all the corrosion, rust shit. Put anti-seize on the threads. I then put anti-seize around the lip here, right? As it was metal to metal contact. Using a lot of force to turn that nut, so if anything was touching, I want to make sure it either didn't weld, or didn't warp, or didn't kind of deform the plate. So the other thing was about to finish removal. Oh yeah, it was this stupid little $9 tool. This is to get the C-clip off, so I dropped it on the floor. You can see that's what I have to put on next. So see this dumb little C-clip? See how I bent it? Screwdrivers, pliers, nothing. About an hour spent. Bought this little thing, not even a minute. Pretty cool tool. from Home Depot. You take the screw off here, it allows you to squeeze to open. You put it on the other hole, it allows you to squeeze to close. So show you the clip. Sorry, I'll have one hand here. So you can see here, you put it in the holes, you're able to squeeze it, and it'll open up the clip. I don't want to do that and launch it somewhere. But yeah, that was removal. So now I'm putting it back. I want to show you guys now the next problem, right, is how do you put it back on? Or how do you screw on that bolt that has to be crazy tight, right? So, like I said before, a little bit of degreaser, some anti-seize on the threads to make sure I could take it off if I screw it up or kind of skip some steps in the instructions. Don't want to be like, oh shit, now it's stuck with the new plate. So clean up the threads, put anti-seize on the bolt, and then now you're stuck with the situation again of how do I hold it down. I no longer had the 2 studs as I took this plate off, right? So I couldn't use that technique anymore. So what I did was got these at Home Depot a while back, 2x4s. You can get them in the scrap aisle. The guy just said take them. If you go to the scrap aisle in the lumber section, you're able to kind of pick out whatever was left over. I have a bunch of them when doing any car modifications, lifting up anything. Can't beat some kind of extra wood laying around. So to show you what I did was I took see if I can see it here. A 3/8 drill bit, okay. Matches the bolt size, if not a little bit bigger, who cares, that's fine. We're not screwing the wood onto anything or keeping it there. This is just to put holes in the little 2x4s, right? So what you're gonna wanna do is take a 2x4, put 2 holes in it, and that'll assist you in torquing down, right? Because what's gonna happen is when I'm putting it on, I'm gonna put force down, and by putting this length here, it'll keep the Hydroboost from wanting to spin to the side, right? So you definitely want it long. If you make it the same size, it's not gonna do anything, but definitely wanna make the wood longer. And the best that you can, you wanna seat the screws into the wood, as that's what's gonna be kind of taking the tension when you're tightening the bolt, are those 2 screws. So put them in as far as you can, make 2 holes to hold the front. Once again, this is if you have a vise, maybe able to do it easier. Then in the back, what's going to happen is I'm pushing down over here, right? This is going to take the spinning rotation of the Hydroboost. Now what's going to happen is this edge right here is going to want to lift up, right? So even though it's turning, I'm pushing down, so it's going to want to lift up. So on the other side, same thing. Made a hole in the 2x4 and then clamped it to the table. So now this sucker is not going to twist, right? So was able to do, the instructions said 150. I did 120. I think that's enough. At the same time, I'm going to put the circlip. It's always good to follow the instructions, so do 150 if you can. I'm doing 120, so if I have to take it off at any point, or if I gall the threads, it's just gonna be impossible, and I'm gonna have to rebuy the Hydroboost as well as the Maximum Motorsports plate. So I think 120 is enough. A little bit of anti-seize as well, and the circlip should hold. Ultimately, this plate, it will be able to wiggle, right? Because the circlip is away from it. But if you notice, it's 120 is what I'm doing, but definitely do 150 as the instructions say. But yeah, that should help you with your Hydroboost to put on the Maximum Motorsports plate. You're going to need circlip pliers, 150 pound, this Craftsman one, 150 pound torque wrench. The kit comes with this socket, but definitely helps to have some sanding paper if you do what I did, and some anti-seize around it. Just almost cut my finger, that's sharp. anti-seize around the lip, right? Just like I did. So you're putting a lot of work on the inside of this. Want to be able to take it out so it doesn't weld itself. At the same time, now is your chance to loosen everything. I didn't loosen this one as I'm gonna reuse it, but you definitely want to loosen everything as you have it tied down, right? You could tell I took off the master cylinder, which was in great shape. But yeah, hopefully this video helps you with the Hydroboost, pain in the ass, but 99 to 04, that's how you do it. And you can see here, I'll show you, you can see how I bent. You can see where I bend it up here inward, because ultimately the neck is going to be a little bit higher. It's not going to be here anymore, it's going to be up here. So yeah, let me know if you have questions. Next is the plumbing, so putting in the wires, the high pressure line, low pressure line. But yeah, the plate is on. You need to put on the circlip. You saw the drill bit I used, and you will need a air tool. If you buy a used one just like I did, sucker was rusted on, so there's just no way of breaking something without an air tool. Just make sure that the socket is seated well. It's hard to know, but place it here. Place it onto it, and you kind of see how it's like, is it on? Just keep putting pressure, make sure it's the correct angle to where it wants to seat itself. See that? Now it's seated. You definitely don't want to put torque on it when it's kind of like make sure that you're at the right angle, and by itself it wants to seat just like that. Hopefully I helped y'all out. I'll keep the videos coming.